Hi guys, it's Solange. Welcome back to my channel, So Labs. I'm so grateful that I can be able to share this new tutorial with you guys. Now lately I've been doing a lot of skirt tutorials, however I promise that each time I try to do something better and make it different for you. This time I'm going to show you how to make a simple A-line skirt with a lapped zipper and a button waistband. This skirt is commonly used for technical college that is in my country. So however, you can just use the same pattern to make lots of nice work skirts for yourself and for others. So yes, let's get started. All the materials needed is in the description box. So you're going to need 3 measurements for this. You're going to need your waist measurement, usually taken from the natural waist, and you just go ahead and follow the formula and do as I'm doing in the video with my fabric on fold. I've marked from the fold on outwards to the side. I'm now going to measure down 8 inches and square that across. This 8-inch mark that I just created, I'm going to take a yardstick or a ruler and I'm just going to draw a straight line so that it can be squared across properly. Now on this line is my hip line. You're going to take your hip measurements and divide that by 4 and add 1 inch. Whatever result you get, when you do that, you're just going to go ahead and mark it on that very line. The next thing I'm going to do is measure down the length of my skirt, and I'm going to go ahead and add 2 inches to whatever desired length I had for my skirt. Now I'm making this skirt for a client, but I just took the opportunity to go ahead and record this video because I know I have been absent for a bit, but I'm really trying my best to record as many videos as I possibly can. Now on this line that I drew down for my skirt length and at 2 inches, I'm going to just use the same hip measurement that I used previously and mark a line there. And now I'm going to go ahead and add 1.5 inches. We don't want the skirt to be extremely A-line, just a slight A-line. So that's why I only added 1.5 inch. Now I'm just going to connect the waist measurement to the hip and then the hip measurement to the skirt length measurement, well, the one for the A-line, the one that is furthest to the end. And yes, that's what we have so far. Just make sure A-line is nice and straight and neat. Best thing is to iron out the fabric at first, but with time and my experience so far, I just went ahead and did it like that. But for you to make things easier, you can do that. Now the mark that I just made there, I just went down 1/2 inch at the front and I'm going to come up 1/2 inch from the bottom end. I'm just going to go ahead and draw a diagonal line coming, well, basically from the bottom end of the skirt. Once you follow what I'm doing in the video, I'm sure you'll be able to get it. And then you're just going to go ahead and cut out the entire thing. All of the lines that you just marked going around, just cut out the entire front of your skirt, and that's it for the front so far. Now I'm just going to fold the top part of my skirt in half, so that will make it 1/4, and just make a snip there, just a notch. That's where my dots are going to be for the front. Now I'm going to open up my skirt and draw in my dots. Now to get these dots, we're going to measure down 5 inches and 1/2 inch on each side of the notch and basically draw a triangle. Now for the back of the skirt, we're going to be using the other side of the fabric, which is the selvage. If your fabric is wide enough, then you can go ahead and place the top part at the top there. But because it's an A-line skirt, sometimes it can get a little bit, it takes up space. So what I'm doing basically is flipping my skirt upside down. So now my top is at the other end of the fabric. I'm going to leave 2 inches away from the selvage edge. That is my seam allowance for my skirt, and that is where I'm leaving enough space for when I'm inserting my zipper as well. For the back, you're basically just making sure, again, 2 inches away from the selvage edge, and you're placing the fold of the skirt towards that side. And then you're just going to go ahead and cut that out. Sorry if I stung a bit, I have a little bit of a sinus issue today, so sorry about that. You're just going to leave the fabric as is, bend in the previous notch, and just copy the notch marks onto the back of the skirt as I just did, so that we will know exactly where our dots are supposed to be for the back. Go ahead and repeat the steps to be able to get the back dots in. Now we're going to work on our waistband for a bit. I'm just straightening out the fabric so that my waistband can be straight as possible. I realize I marked a line and there is a clip there, so I will now have to just redraw that line to make sure the clip is not into my waistband. Happens sometimes, but just have to keep focused. So now that my fabric is straight, for my waistband, I want the finished waistband to be about 2 inches. So I'm going to measure down 5, because for me, once I'm done folding it in half, that'll be 2.5, and then 1/2 inch on each edge. But when I fold in my waistband, we'll bring it down to 2 inches width of waistband at least. And I'm just going down 5 inches and basically just using the entire length of the fabric for now, with the 5-inch width going down for my waistband, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. That is basically all for the drafting of the skirt. Last time I did a draft, I used pattern paper first in a separate tutorial, but this time I'm showing you how to just do it on the fabric one time, which is a lot easier in these cases with these kind of suiting fabrics. Now the first step to sewing your skirt, we're going to go ahead and sew down on that. So starting with the front or the back, it doesn't really matter which one, but here I'm starting with the front. You see I've measured down, it's exactly 5 inches, and I'm just going to fold the fabric where the dart was and just go ahead and sew down those lines, going down from the top into the triangle and stopping at the 5-inch mark. we're just going to go ahead and repeat those steps for the 2 back pieces of the skirt. Now, if you don't have a serger or overlocker machine, you can zigzag at the edges of the skirt. However, I'm just using my serger to just serge all edges of the front and the side seams of both front and back pieces of the skirt. I did not serge the selvage edges where the zip is going to be, because those are not going to free anyway. So this is what we have so far. These are our 2 back pieces, and as you can see, I've serged the side seams of both of them, and also for the front I've serged the 2 side seams for that one. So now we're going to put the front aside and work on the back for a bit. We're going to place them right side together, and we're going to work on the area where we're going to be inserting our lapped zipper. But for this skirt, I'm using a 10-inch zipper. However, you can also get away with using about an 8-inch zipper, especially with the fact that you're going to be inserting a button waistband. So I'm just placing my zipper at the selvage edge, and I'm placing a pin right where the metal stopper is, so that will remind me of where my basting stitch will be ending when I'm doing that. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to mark my 2 inches line, which I had left for seam allowance, and I'm just going to mark it and square it down from the top to the bottom of the skirt, so that is the line I'm going to actually use for my zip allowance and seam allowance for the skirt. So we're just going to draw that line to remind us of exactly where we are sewing. So from the top of the skirt to where I placed the pin, I'm just going to go ahead and mark an extra line there for reinforcement. Base stitch until you get to the line, and then back stitch, and then continue down with a regular foam stitch, like what I'm about to demonstrate here. So I'm basically starting at the top with both sides lined up together. I'm basting until I get to the mark where my metal stopper was. And then I'm going to do a few back stitches there to ensure that that is properly secured. And then I'm going to continue using the same regular stitch that I used to back stitch. This skirt does not have a slit at the back. It's basically a line, does not require one. And you're going to be able to be comfortable in it the same way. So I've went ahead and pressed the seam opened. Make sure it's nice and neat, and this will ensure that when we're inserting the zipper, don't have any like big bulge and all of that. It's so important to like iron as you go along, especially if you're just starting out sewing. You can probably get away with a few here and there, but for zippers, take no chances. Press that seam open. So now I'm going to go ahead and place the zipper teeth on one side of the skirt. Honestly, it doesn't even matter which side you put it, I think, but I'm so accustomed to putting it on this side. If anyone knows if there's a standard to which side I'm supposed to put it on, please let me know in the comments, but this is the side I've been using forever. So yeah, place the zipper teeth on the left side of the seam and not directly in the seam, if that makes sense. I'm then going to go ahead and pin that in place all the way down on both sides. This will really help, guys, to ensure the zipper does not shift and all of that. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do this without pinning it down, but you can never go wrong pinning things down. I hate to do adjustments and rip things out, so this really saves me from having to go through that. So just go ahead, pin it down, and then I will show you when I'm about to sew it. So I've attached my zipper foot, and now I have my zipper here to insert. Starting from the left side, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the pins. I never sew over pins. And with a regular stitch, just going to go ahead and sew along the first side of our zipper. Now when you get to the bottom of the teeth, you're going to go ahead and leave your needle down, turn your fabric and continue along across. Leave your needle down again. And I like to do a few back stitches there to make it stronger, you know. Turn my fabric and then continue sewing until you get to the top of the skirt. And it's really that simple. Once you're done sewing, once you follow the procedure I did, you're already going to see the lap even before you rip out the basting stitches. And this is what it looks like so far. So I've already done the lapped zipper on my machine, so I'm just taking my seam ripper and I'm going to just rip out the entire basting stitch I did for the zipper area. This is just me plucking out all the loose threads because I hate loose threads. I don't like to see threads hanging. I don't like to see a little bit of thread here and there. It just makes everything so, like, you know, untidy. I like everything neat. So yeah, if I have to take the time to pluck out every piece of thread, then I'm going to do that. But this is what it looks like. You see it has a little flap covering the zipper and it opens so nicely. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and place the front and the back right sides together and sew along the side seams using a 1/2 inch allowance. And I went ahead and pressed the seams open. This is the reason why I serge all sides before. I find that when you press seams open, it looks so much neater and flatter than if I would just sew them together like that and then serge after. I actually learned this tip from a friend and I'm very, very grateful to her for that tip because this has changed the way my skirts looks overall. Skirts, dresses, anything really in general. It looks so much neater when the seams are pressed out flat. So thank you for that tip. Now hang in there with me guys, we're almost done. Now I'm just measuring down the length of the skirt to ensure it aligns with what my client wanted and so that I will know that okay, when I'm about to press up this edge, I have enough, you know, seam allowance and I don't have to redo the hem and all of that, and that I will know how much hem to go up. So I'm just going to go up 1 inch, 1.5 inch approximately, but it may differ for you. and I forgot to mention, in case you didn't notice, I had also serged the top of the skirt, not because it's really necessary because it's going to be hidden inside, but to eliminate some of the fray as well, especially for when I'm inserting the waistband, to make things more neat and easier. I'm using Gabadine fabric and they can fray a lot. Now at this point, you can go ahead and try on a skirt, or your client can try it on, so that way you can go ahead and take in the side some more if you need to. However, you can just go ahead and do like I am doing here, measuring along the entire waist of the skirt to ensure it lines up with what your waist measurement is, or what your client's waist measurement is. And whatever length that is, you are going to use that to determine how long to do your waistband strip. For your waistband strip, you're going to use the measurement that you got when you measure your room, or your waist measurement, and you're going to go ahead and add 3 inches to that. The next thing I did with wrong sides together, I pressed my waistband flat and then I added interfacing. I used press on interfacing and I only added it on half of my waistband, going all the way down to the other side. I also folded in 1/2 inch at one edge. You can also fold in 1/2 inch at both edges, doesn't really matter, but it's just to make sure you're using 1/2 inch allowance when attaching the waistband to make things easier for you. I'm going to go ahead and bend in the side of the waistband as well and start attaching it. When I'm attaching it, I'm starting at the flat side that does not require any fold over, which will be the side where I'm seeing the zipper most visible. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it all the way around. I know right now you can't really see exactly what I'm doing, but I promise you will see in a short minute. What I basically did was just pin using one edge of the waistband, and I'm pinning along the top edge of the skirt like this. And I started at the side that's going to be hidden when the flap is on, so just going to go ahead and sew that all the way around. This is what we have. If this is a bit confusing for you, let me know and I'll be happy to do a separate tutorial with just the waistband attachment only to make things a bit more clearer for you. Now I had a little bit excess than needed because I don't need this long piece for when I'm doing my buttons, when I'm my buttonholes. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave about 2.5 inch excess. Yeah, just 2 inch excess at the edge. So by the time I'm done sewing my 1/2 inch at the edge, I will be left with 1 to 1.5 inch to do my buttonhole. I went ahead and cut that off, and I'm going to fold the waistband right sides together like I did when I started attaching it. Right sides together to ensure you get a nice, a nice squared corner for your waistband. The next thing I'm going to do is fold in the other side of the waistband that was already opened, fold it in by the 1/2 inch, and then do a top stitch like what I'm doing here. Bend in the corner and do a top stitch going all the way around to the other end of the skirt. Right, so you can go ahead and pin it in place. You can actually press it with the iron first if that makes you more comfortable, and then go ahead and pin it in place and sew with a top stitch all the way around. So this is what I've had after I've done my top stitch, and I pressed it with my iron, so you see how nice and flat that looks, right? And well, the skirt is basically done. This was such a breeze, right? This was such a breeze. So I will be doing an up close on the lap zipper. Oh, sorry, the hem. You just go ahead and hem that with a regular stitch going all the way around, or you can hand hem for a more professional finish. But yes, your skirt is basically done. You just need to do the buttonhole right there and then sew on your button on the other piece. And yes, that's it. And this is how it looks. So nice and neat. My client did try it on and it fits her well. She only requested for it to be taken in just from the hip area going down a bit to make it a little bit more straighter for her personal preference. But beside that, it was a great fit. This is what the skirt looks like after I've finished hemming it, and I am so proud. So yes guys, you can do this. Thank you so much if you stayed this far watching this video. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, share, that kind of good stuff. Until I upload the next video, take care until guys. Bye bye.